Hello, I'm Evangeline.
And I'm Joe Holland, and this is your 4 o'clock news show.
A campaign has been launched to fight against the planned HS2 route in a small Derbyshire village. Residents of Newton have set up the campaign to put a stop to the plans, which they say will destroy the community. CBJ's Georgia Langthorpe has more.
Residents of this quiet countryside village in Newton have launched a campaign group to fight against a proposed HS2 route. The route will see many of the village's houses demolished, as well as the closure of its popular country park, which walkers, cyclists and horse riders won't be able to access whilst the construction is underway. The village is known for its friendly and welcoming atmosphere, and locals fear that the route will split the community in half and cause huge disruption. With house prices in the area already low, the proposed route means that the residents of the village could see an even bigger reduction in the value of their house, which could affect younger generations.
Basically, we've got chaos in the village for 10 years. All the arterial roads south and east will be blocked while they do the construction. So to get to Alfreton, we'd have to go north up to Tibshelf, then along to Stonebroom to Morton to get to Alfreton. People's homes will be demolished. It's going to affect generations to come, all the noise and chaos. Apparently it sounds like an aeroplane going over. And there's going to be 2 trains an hour each way just on the branch line, never mind the HS2 line, which is less than a mile away anyway on the other side of the motorway. So it's just going to be devastating for the community.
Although the group already has a strong following, members are urging other locals to get behind them and see the impact and devastation the route will actually cause.
The way that HS2 have promoted the train through Newton makes it sound really wonderful. People are looking at it through rose-coloured spectacles. You know, you're seeing this lovely train. What you're actually not seeing is the devastation that it's actually going to cause to the people who live in Newton.
Banners, leaflets and response forms are being handed out, and campaigners are hopeful that they've done enough to put a stop to the plans.
Vexed,
very disappointed, because there is an alternative route. And yeah, really just very disappointed. But we would have tried our hardest to get them to change their minds.
it's better to have done something, and even if you failed, afterwards, if it was to go ahead, you can't sort of then think to yourself, well, we might have been able to do something. But hopefully, let's be positive and think we can do something about it.
The government have said they are consulting with the public in areas which will have significant impact. But for the people of Newton, the fight against HS2 continues. Georgia Langthorpe, CBJ News.
A Nottingham nightclub is being investigated for alleged racial discrimination against a group of black people who were refused entry to the club vault. Our reporter, Ore Olakoga, joins us now from the newsroom. So, Ore, could you tell us what happened?
Well, Mahalia Hamid had pre-booked a table at Vault to celebrate her 24th birthday. When she arrived with 9 of her predominantly black friends, they were later told to stand aside and refused entry. And
did the club tell them why they were refused entry?
No, they didn't, but all that they did say to them is that they didn't match the criteria, despite the fact they had already paid £300 in advance. Now, we tried to contact the venue, but they have denied all the allegations.
And is this an isolated event?
No, it isn't. Similar events have occurred in Nottingham in the past. I spoke to Mayo Edeniron, who's had the same sort of treatment from Club Inc. just last year.
You can see that this is the opening night of the club. I've been waiting here quietly and patiently, and meanwhile, they've also been rejecting a lot of other black people for various different things. Your shoes weren't right, the sort of clothes you're wearing isn't right, there's too many of you, but they'd still be letting in white people that wear trainers. So it was evident that it was because of the colour of our skin, which was really sad.
Mayo has spoken to Inc. since the incident, and they've offered him a full apology. Now, in relation to the Vault case, Nottinghamshire Police have commented on the matter, stating they are fully aware of the allegations and are undertaking a current inquiry.
OK, thank you, Ore.
Hate crime has risen to record levels after the Brexit vote. According to figures provided by the Press Association, Nottinghamshire Police recorded the second highest hate crime figures in the UK. Incidents increased by 75% between July and September last year. CBJ's Medina Mukenge has more.
The aftermath of Brexit has seen tensions rise across the country. There are 5 categories of racially or religiously aggravated offences that come under hate crime: assault with injury, assault without injury, harassment, public fear, alarm or distress, and other criminal damage. Some believe that since the UK's decision to leave the EU, that some people feel that they have permission to act negatively towards people from other countries.
It might be the fact that people feel more enabled in order to report the crimes when they're happening to them, or simply the fact that people feel that, you know, Brexit is happening, acting as an enabler, feeling that it's okay for them to sort of, you know, to yell at people, to beat people up on the street. I mean, certainly, I mean, my wife is French, and, you know, she's been told in the last 6 months to sort of, you know, go back where you came from and stuff like that.
Nottingham City Council and organisations such as Communities Inc. are taking an active stand against hate crime.
The week after the referendum, we went down to Hyson Green Market and we spoke to a number of people with just a few basic questionnaires. How safe do you feel now? How safe did you feel before? And have you witnessed or heard of anything? And we were quite shocked at what we found. I think it was nearly 70% of the people we spoke to during the hour and a half we were down there, these are people from Eastern European, Africa, etc., said 70% of them said that they felt unsafe as a result.
We spoke to Nottinghamshire Police and they said that they've recognised that hate crime is on the increase and they're doing their best to combat the issue. They've called for anybody that's been a victim of a hate crime to come forward to them because they're taking the matter very seriously. They understand that Nottingham is the second largest, has seen the second largest increase in the reporting of hate crime, and they say they understand that this is due to the fact that this is a diverse county and they're doing the best that they can. Medina Wakenge reports.
26-year-old celebrity gamer from Nottingham was attacked at knife point on his way home to Arnold. This man is a partnered streamer employed by Twitch who streams the online game RuneScape and is ranked 12th in the world. After telling his audience what his plans were that day, he claimed to be targeted by two men after getting off the bus.
They ran straight towards me with knives, punched me in the head, and I think because they couldn't get me down to the floor, they whacked me on the head with something, and that rendered me half unconscious, really. They snatched my chain off me. I tried to pull off my shoes, with Giuseppe Zanotti shoes, which were like £600. And they couldn't pull them off, and they just said, "I'm sorry, bro." And they ran off, and then after that, I just passed out from shock.
We're now joined by our correspondent Shannon Stevenson. Shannon, what more can you tell us about the attack?
Well, the attack took place on the 3rd of February at around 2 p.m. The victim has claimed that he actually thought he was being set up because at the time he was streaming that very day of the attack to around like 13,000 followers, and he was out shopping, and on his way home he got the bus back to Arnold and noticed two men running up the hill with knives, and he claimed that they didn't even see who he was first, so that's why he thinks it was all planned.
And how long was he in hospital?
He was hospitalised for 24 hours. He was lucky because they didn't use the knives in the attack. He did happily say you can take, you know, his possessions. Although he did claim that he was hit in the back of the head, which led to him being unconscious when he was found at 2:15 p.m. Ambulances arrived. Also, he did say that it took 2 weeks for him to recover because he couldn't walk.
Would you be able to describe the attackers for us?
He said that they were two white males, quite young looking, wore bomber jackets and jeans and had their faces covered up.
And have there been any updates since on this story?
Yes, yesterday a neighbour rang the police because she found most of the stolen items hidden in a bush nearby where the attack took place. Most of these items did get restored. The only thing missing was his designer belt, which was yanked off him during the attack.
Were there any witnesses at all?
Yes, a man was seen running off to Homefield Avenue, although there's no arrest been made yet.
All right, that's all we've got time for. Thank you, Shannon, for coming in with us today. Hopefully these two males will be found now, so thank you.
Thank you.
The John Van Geest Cancer Research Centre at Nottingham Trent University's Clifton campus carries out a variety of projects and trials for different types of cancer. But funds are vital to ensuring these tests continue. CBJ's April Slattery has more.
Opened in 2010, the John Van Geest Cancer Research Centre carries out all different types of medical testing and research, including clinical trials with patients from across the region.
We are a translational cancer research institute, which means that the basic science will be translated into a study in patients, which is called a clinical trial. Mostly phase 1, phase 2 clinical trial, when you develop a proof of concept, when you test your assumptions and hypotheses in patients. So this kind of research is very impactful and is likely to change the way, again, patients are treated. For instance, we do have anti-tumor vaccination studies where we aim to boost the immune response against tumors. So all of this science will be translated into a clinical trial. We want to change the way cancer is treated in order to have better outcomes for patients, of course.
Research carried out at the Nottingham Trent University Centre can cost millions of pounds, and donations are vital to their research projects continuing. To help raise funds, John Van Geest director Professor Graham Pockley has set up fundraising days for the last 5 years, raising over £15,000 for their research. There is a large variety of research projects, and 100% of donations are used directly on all the research.
Cancer research can be quite expensive, especially if you have access to this broad portfolio of technical platforms. So we usually apply for grants, we have charities, so we are very active. So the funds go towards the purchase of consumables, research consumables, so chemicals, antibodies, and reagents to perform this gene expression profiling analysis, for instance, or proteomics analysis in patient-derived samples. So 100% of the funds go straight to the John Van Geest Cancer Research Centre, and they are used, of course, exclusively to purchase reagents and to support our research efforts.
The event, named 1 in 2 because half of us are expected to be diagnosed with cancer at some point, is on February the 24th. It gives everyone the chance to get involved and do something they enjoy. From baking, running, singing, or even fancy dress days, it symbolises that everyone can stand together to do something to help raise awareness and funds. Last year, over £7,500 were raised on the day, and the centre wants to make this year's even bigger and better. 8+ Lattery for CBJ News.
And now here's Josh Wing with your sports roundup.
Nottingham Forest return home for their weekend fixture against Sheffield Wednesday after back-to-back away defeats. The Reds, though, are currently unbeaten in 3 home clashes. Notts County travel to Leyton Orient tomorrow for a huge game at the bottom of League 2. And from Manchester City to Ilkeston Town, City legend Sean Goater has been announced as the new Robins manager. The side, currently struggling towards the bottom of the Evo Stick League Premier Division, announced this morning that Paul Holland was to step down as manager. In ice hockey, Nottingham Panthers players assistant coach David Clark insists there is plenty left to play for this season. The title looks to be beyond the Continental Cup winners, who are 5th and 19 points behind leaders Cardiff Devils. But Clark says they must maintain a high standard for the playoffs after being knocked out of the Challenge Cup in the semi-finals on Tuesday night. That's all your sport for now. Back to you, Joe and Evangeline.
And now our reporter Alicia Russell is here with your weather forecast for the next few days.
After a cloudy start this morning, today we should expect to see some light drizzle. There's a chance of patchy fog in the west, but sunny bright spells to the east, reaching highs of 10 degrees. This evening, the skies will turn grey and expect a mist of light drizzle. There are areas of fog and there is likely to be a low cloud. Tonight's temperature should see a drop to 7 degrees in the west, but much warmer in the east with highs of 9. Tomorrow, expect some sun with yet again highs of 10 degrees. There's sunny spells across the East Midlands, but expect a light mist and patches of fog. As you can see, over the next couple of days, temperatures are fairly warm and expect sun as the season changes to spring. Back to you in the studio.
That's all for now. That's from me, Joe Holland.
And me, Evangeline Plant. Follow us for more updates at CBJ News, and you can tune in tomorrow at the same time. Goodbye and a good evening.